spire there, out the, what we want to do is have a prototype. At our farm, our question every time we have an idea and we're going to launch something or do something different, our first question is never how big can it be? It's always how small can it be? Because if it doesn't work small, it won't work big. There's nothing about getting bigger of a dysfunctional or a malfunctioning prototype. There's nothing about making it bigger that will make it better. We talk about that a lot with interns and apprentices and things. If you think that that adding an educational component to your place is going to solve your inefficiencies, think again. It's going to compound your inefficiencies. Okay, so I want to do everything the customer wants. Yeah, you can't do everything the customer wants. You are never going to please every single person all the time. Okay, and by definition, we're going to talk a lot about finding our tribe and what is the core, what's the soul of what we're doing, and if we're so thin-skinned that we can never have a customer complaint, we're not going to be successful marketers, because no matter what you do, you're never going to please every single person all the time. It ain't gonna, and you can't create a product that pleases every single person all the time. I want to make a lot of money. That's not a good one. And I want to sip wine on the beach in the Cayman Islands. That will get you derailed every time. So let's jump in now to some of these cornerstones of direct marketing. The first one I would say is diversity. And if you don't remember anything, remember this. It's easier to find 100 people to spend $1,000 with you than 1,000 people to spend $100 with you. The cost of marketing is customer acquisition. Every customer costs something to acquire, okay? And once you have a customer, especially if it's a loyal customer, they want to buy more. The one-stop shop works. Why? Why does Walmart work? Well, you can get your oil change, you get diapers, bananas, and TV dinners all in one place, okay? Now, we're not going to be a Walmart, but what I am suggesting is that the closer we can come to a one-stop shop, the better off we're going to be. Because if we can take an existing customer that's $100 a year and we can turn them into $200 a year with another product or a value-added product or a totally complementary product. Because remember, the person that makes the sale owns the customer. The person that makes the sale owns the customer. So if you collaborate with 10 farmers in your area to present a pretty well-rounded cornucopia of options to your customer, and you can take that customer that was just buying beef, and that customer can now buy squash, watermelon, pumpkin pie, and radishes, okay? The cost of customer acquisition was handled at the first sale. Alan used to always say, you never make money on your first sale. Stockman Grass Farmer, we never make money on the first subscription. We only make money on renewals. Why? Because of turnover rate and because of the cost of acquiring that first customer. So, we're constantly thinking about diversifying our portfolio, owning that customer. So if all you're doing right now is grass-finished beef, think about either you producing or collaborating with somebody or bringing somebody into the program where you can offer chicken, pork, okay, apples, vinegar, all right? Because the cost of customer acquisition is that high. Which brings me to the next point, is that you can't do it all. okay? Nobody can do it all. So you're going to start to put together complementary people. Now, every single one of us has strengths and weaknesses. If you're familiar with the business program Strengths Finders, okay? Strengths Finders, some of us grew up with grandma or grandpa, whatever, telling us, you're pretty weak here. You need to work on that. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about character development, like telling the truth, but I'm talking about we have different strengths and weaknesses. Some people tend to be more analytical. Some people tend to be more engineer type. We have introverts, extroverts, messies, cleanies, organized, disorganized. We've got people that are planners and people that are spontaneous. And that's all good, all right? And in farming, almost always, we see people migrating to certain themes. You don't normally see a person who is equally passionate and good at raising both plants and animals. We tend to gravitate either toward livestock or toward plants, and in plants, we even gravitate between annuals like gardening versus perennials like orcharding. Okay, so there's enough to go around here that it can occupy everybody's ambition and passion and talent, but it's also so diverse that we can't be experts in all these fields. Okay, and the truth is, almost no successful business works by itself. When we do the business school, Steve and I spend a fair amount of time on this element. So I'm not going to belabor this point. Just I want us to understand that sometimes the weakness of our business is that we simply don't have enough on our platter to offer to be able to leverage the customer that we have. Okay? This is one of the big problems with exotics. Some of you are old enough to remember back several years ago when emus and ostriches were that was the big deal. We're all going to get into, and alpacas and llamas, and then it was bison. And the problem with all those exotics is that they are, well, everybody wants to try ostrich once, right? But are you going to eat it every Sunday afternoon? No, okay? And so this was the problem. Bison, anything that's a bit exotic, the reason it's exotic is because it's a specialty. It's a once in a while kind of thing, okay? And so complementary people. Now, this also is included in talents, all right? And so you say, well, my lands, I'm not even making a living on the farm. How am I going to get a salesperson? All right. That's why I've got commissions written there, okay? Commissions allow you to tap into somebody else's talent without getting into a wage thing. Again, we spend a lot of time on this in the business school, so I'm not going to belabor it here. Just realize that of our 20 people, not a single person is an hourly wage earner. I don't believe in it, okay? You either do salary with clearly defined objectives, or you do a hybrid salary plus bonus, or you go completely to piecework, or you go subcontractor, okay? But this hourly thing is for the birds. And so, my favorite story is that beautiful lady sitting in the back, Sheri, our daughter-in-law. See, we handpicked her for Daniel. We had a series of criteria here, and we sat down and what we were looking for, he said, what do we really want here? Well, we want a gal that can go square dancing on Friday night all gussied up, and Saturday morning enjoys gutting chickens. That's what we're looking for, and we got her. All right. Well, when they got married, Sheri's poking around. Well, what can I do? And I mean, at the time there were 4 or 5 Salatin women, and now there's another one. And so you got to kind of poke around and see where you're gonna find a spot at this trough. And we had just started the buying club idea about a year before they got married. It was fledgling. It was totally prototype. It was very, very small. And she said, yeah, I think I'd like to take that over. Well, the problem was, we didn't know if she could sell. For all we knew, she just wanted to, get
square dance and get chickens.
Wanted to just eat chocolate bonbons and get paid by the hour to knit. And so we said, well, how about we put you on commission? And to her credit, her self-confidence, yeah, I'll go on commission. And so no guaranteed pay. Are you with me? No, nothing. In other words, if she doesn't sell, it doesn't cost anything. And that was because we can't take the risk of hiring somebody on a prototype, a fledgling deal, and guarantee some sort of a $10,000, maybe it's going to be a part-time deal, maybe, but still, how do you know if it's going to work, And then you got tension, and then of course, if she turned out to be a dud, then you got to fire your daughter-in-law, and that doesn't help the family situation very much. And so we started down, and within 10 years, she ran this up to almost $1 million in annual sales, and she's going to talk to you about it this afternoon. But what I'm getting at is that was a partnership that allowed us to tap into somebody else's talent without the risk of a paycheck. So the only way that it was going to cost us anything was it was going to make sales go way up. Well, that's not a cost, that's a benefit. All right? So as long as you know your margins, and as long as you have this cost of commissions plugged in to your price, you can have as many partners out here as you want. So we have several people who sell, and they're all on commission. That, worldwide, salespeople are always on commission, pretty much, right? Why? Because that's an easy way to measure performance. So that brings us then to collaboration. So we're going to collaborate with other people. We're going to increase our portfolio, if you will, so that we can have additional people. Now, our rule of thumb is that if we work with consignment, so it's all about who takes the risk. If we're going to put something from a neighbor, so we've got food crafters in the area, okay, that are producing things that we don't, lacto ferments, kombucha, wool products, mugs. There's a whole complement of things. And so if you're going to own it clear to the sale, we go consignment. The difference between consignment and regular markup is who takes the risk of owning the inventory. Okay? So if the collaborator is going to own the inventory and only get paid if it sells, then we only do a 20% markup in the store or any of venues that we sell to. If we are going to buy the product at wholesale and sell it retail, we're going to take a 30% markup. And of course, grocery stores run these markups all the time, and different amounts on different things. The more perishable it is, the higher the markup. On produce, lots of times the markup is 50%. Why? Because it's so perishable. If we don't sell these bananas this week that Kroger orders, 2,000 pounds of bananas, and if they don't sell them in a week, what happens to them? They go out the back door, right? And so there is a huge markup in produce, and then as you move down into more shelf-stable stuff, the markup goes less and less and less as you move down into crackers and canned goods and things like that. So just realize that your markup is going to be different depending on on what you're working with. But collaboration, let me tell you, in your product portfolio, expanding your product portfolio makes all the difference in attracting people because it moves you toward the one-stop shop. And just in case you missed it, believe me, the new benchmark in marketing is Amazon. Okay? And whatever we do, and this, I even hate that I have to say this, but it's the reality. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our emotional feelings over in the last couple of years. Have you ever read a little business book, Who Moved My Cheese? Familiar with that? Who Moved My Cheese? It's a little tiny business book. It's about this mouse that goes through a labyrinth to find cheese every day. And of course, he's got this labyrinth memorized, and he can go find his cheese real easy. Well, one day he goes out there and there's no cheese. Somebody moved his cheese to a different cubicle. Well, now he's got to figure out a whole different pathway to get to the cheese. And so, at Polyface, just to be totally transparent, we built this business 40 years ago with a Kodak slide projector, speaking at Kiwanis clubs, Rotary, Ruritan, AARP, Toastmasters, civic clubs, and doing on a typewriter newsletters that went in a mail with a stamp on them, and phone calls, and to people that were our age, baby boomers. And we built this nice, successful business. And in the last 5 years, somebody moved our cheese. We don't have a Kodak carousel anymore. We don't even have a Kiwanis Club or Rotary. Well, there's like 6 old geezers. They're 85 years old, and they kind of trade around the presidency and try to keep the little emblem on the wall, We still meet here, And that's not where the conversation's happening. And as we go through these 2 days, I'll give you some of my angst of how we have been pushed to try to adapt, as somebody moved our cheese. Those of you who, some of you might be aware that July 4th we launched nationwide shipping. And man, did we get torn up on social media for selling out to the devil and, going to the dark side and all this stuff, because I've been such a, adherent of local. But our cheese got moved. People that used to come out 10 miles to the farm and get their food now say, well, why should I come out 10 miles to get my food when I can just, at 10 o'clock at night, I can get on Amazon and Sheri and Daniel they're on auto reorder for toilet paper. Teresa, I say, what? You can't even go to Kroger's and get toilet paper? No, it shows up on the porch every month with a big smiley thing on the box, This year, before December 31, this year, millennials will surpass baby boomers in spending power. And I ain't no millennial. In fact, Sheri and Daniel are technically 1 and 2 years respectively over millennials. So they're in this crazy stage of remember growing up without social media, and even the difference between like our son Daniel and our daughter Rachel, 5 years apart, the difference between them in social media is incredibly different. Because that 5 years, here came the smartphone and the other things. That's what I'm saying. Our cheese it's been moved. So think about. I don't know how I got on that. We're going to get on that in a little bit more. But anyway, so you're going to create collaborations, and we farmers, we are notoriously non-collaborators. I'm going to do it myself, right? And collaboration requires that we pick up the phone and go talk to somebody. What? You mean I got to come in, wipe the grease off, kick my shoes off? I'm tired. I don't want to go, formulate a business arrangement with somebody, right? And so I know I'm asking for a lot here, but I'm telling you that widening our portfolio, remember, the person that makes the sale owns the customer. And if you can work with a neighbor that's that's making pumpkin bisque, all right, soup, and canning it that you can add to your pork chops, okay? That customer, that friend, that food crafter with their label, if you manage the customer, if you manage the sale, you're going to own that customer, not them. Okay? And so, so think about, when you're collaborating, think about compatibility. All of your practices, sourcing and ingredients, okay? Because remember, your brand is everything. Protecting your brand is everything, okay? And so, so you want to make sure that as you collaborate, you're finding like-minded people, okay? And that they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect, but they have to be aligned enough that you're not embarrassed or spending a lot of time answering FAQs, frequently asked questions, that make you have to dance around a little bit. Okay. Another thing that you can do in collaboration is value adding. All right. I mean, the single fastest growing component of the retail food sector right now is the sector called integrity convenience. That's the only sector that's really expanding right now. It's expanding at 8% a year, which is phenomenal in the food sector, because you got a certain number of people. People can't eat but so much, right? And so if you're watching the news and you're watching the old big companies, Heinz, Campbell's, whatever, that the food, if you can get